All right, what is up, everyone? Let me know if you can hear me. Let me know if you can see me. We had to reset our internet, so we were running a little bit behind. But I see people in chat. I see Roster. Happy birthday to Roster's son, who is officially like a legit adult. Like he made us say he said that last time we were said, "Oh, that's Roster's kid," and then we are like, he's like, "I'm an adult." So happy birthday. Um, he's 19. Yes, yes, 19. Wit, what's going on? So glad to see you. So glad to see Roster Wit. Everybody's relaxing, everybody's doing good. AV is good. All right, good, good, good. All right. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Y'all, we have a pretty solid show today. A lot of new stuff. Also, I do want to put this out now. I'll say this a couple of times throughout the stream. Um, the Shades of Purple community has been challenged. Yes, yes, we've been challenged in Mario Kart, and I believe we've been challenged in several Mario Karts. We've been challenged by Xbox International Espanol. So that's Sour Blow and his crew. We've been challenged to Mario Kart. So this Sunday, if you are a Mario Kart player and you want to join up on Team Purple against Xbox International Espanol, slightly different than Crazy Louie. This is Sour Blow, in video. They're gonna have like 5 or 6 players on their side, so we can definitely have up to 12 on our side, and we're gonna go head to head with his channel. He challenged. He challenged. He sent me a message. He said he was going to do it in person on the show, but he couldn't make it tonight. He might still make it, but that's going to be coming out on Sunday. So if you want to be part of that, we are going to just show that Shades of Purple community can take it. Shades of Purple community can take it. So, oh, Cherry Man, love to have you. Love to have you. Love to have you, Cherry Man. Again, this is like team. It's a team match. That's how we've been doing it, and every spot counts. Every spot. Oh, incredible! If you can make it too, like Ambi, if you can make it, Ambi's like legit. Like I was racing against Ambi. Rouster, your son. We're gonna be doing Mario Kart, the first one, Mario Kart 8 Deluxe in the first half, and then we're gonna do World. So this is for if you have Mario Kart Deluxe and I'm not good at Deluxe. I just bought it, by the way. I just bought Deluxe on Switch 2, or I guess I bought it from Game Pass. I am not good. And from I did a short for Mario Kart recently, and according to that comment section, I also am not good. So we're gonna need as much help as we can get. But again, this is Sour Blow, Mystic Fragments. If you've seen him come in, great guest of the show, awesome story. And just he's a great gamer, great parent. But yeah, he sent me a message and he's like, Purple, I want to challenge your community. So I was like, what? Have you seen our racers? So like he's coming hard. He's coming hard and he's like doubled down on it. So I think it's like, let's just let the gaming world know who we are, and let's just put this one to rest. Like, it's gonna be fun. May have some Discord going on if y'all want to hop on back there. We're gonna do that on Sunday because Saturday we got Orcs Must Die. I gotta play some Orcs Must Die. So Saturday we're doing Orcs Must Die, but Sunday it's gonna be against Xbox International Espanol. So we may even learn some Spanish, y'all. May learn some Spanish. Okay, yeah. If y'all still have Mario Kart, I know, that's what I said, Wit. But he's like, yo, we play everything. And Cyberblow actually does. Y'all know Sour. He comes and supports the channel enough. But there's a couple of other people that I'm curious to just, gamers meeting gamers, grown-up gamers meeting grown-up gamers. Oh no, Cherry Man, you're solid. You're all as long as, like I said, that's why I love the team format. I love the team format because it doesn't matter how, like, you're like, I got a bad race. As long as you can beat someone on the other team, that's all that matters. That's all that matters, right? Because every point counts. So yeah. We'll see what goes on. We'll see what goes on, y'all. We'll see what goes on. But, yeah, today we have a lot of news to talk about, and if you wanna practice Mario Kart, go ahead and practice it while I'm talking. Because, like I said, uh, we gotta bring it. We can't let an Xbox channel beat Shades of Purple. Like, we can't let that happen. Not that we like, it matters about Xbox, but it's like, come on, we can't let this one happen. So, definitely, if you get out there, go do it. Find the matches, do whatever. But that is coming. I'll also do it again, probably in the middle of the show and at the end of the show. But that's Xbox International Espanol has challenged. I didn't go out looking for this one, by the way. He came looking for me. So that's what it is. Yeah, I did, Wit. It did. It got that. We're gonna talk about that actually, because if you look at the back end, it actually is got a lot of hate too, like a lot of thumbs down. So we'll see. Simpleton, we got a game. Simpleton, picture. Where's our picture? Can you send me a picture on Discord of your hair shape? All right, all right. But with that, yo, we got a lot of, I forget what I titled this one. I titled it like I put all the keywords in there. Rouster was talking to me the other day, and he thought that the keywords might be a good thing. So we put something in there, and I was like, today I did PlayStation. I think I did PlayStation. I don't think I called Xbox out directly. And I put Nintendo in there, so I don't know if those were called out directly. But we got a lot of stuff. So let's go in order. All right. So and I have some game trailers. I promise they're not all dark. But we have some we have some stuff. So the first one I want to talk about, this is actually a company I do like to pick on because I just don't like them. Don't ask me why. Yeah, I don't like their management. So if y'all want to know what company I do not like, put it in chat if you think you know before I pull it up. But this company, I just feel like their senior leadership goes back and forth on everything. Seems like they're willing to throw people under the bus. Like that doesn't help them. They have some iconic titles that I don't know why they don't bring back. It's like I don't know. I don't know. But this one I do like. Yeah, this one I just they just wrote me. It's like icky. Sorry, they will fill it for a week. I was like, we'll see, we'll see. Thank you, yo, Obi. What's going on? What's going on? All right, so this one is this company here. All right, and here we are. Here we are. Final Fantasy 16. So it's Square Enix, y'all, because I realize Xbox is in this title. Square Enix is a company I don't like. Final Fantasy 16 may have underperformed on PS5, but is doing terribly on Xbox. And so here's what I want to talk about this, right? So if you didn't see some news, there's some news that it only sold 22,000 copies. There's some other competing news that says it's like the 11th best-selling game on Xbox this week, which I think those two things could be two in the same. Like when you're 10th, when you're like below 7th place, you're not like pulling million copy sellers here, right? So I think both of these could be right. And I have a couple of theories why this is. And this isn't necessarily a PlayStation issue. It's not an Xbox issue. I think this is a Square Enix issue. So for you all in chat who are like Xbox or Final Fantasy fans, please let me know if I hit this on the head. Because the last time I played a Final Fantasy game was a long time ago. But the thing about that back then was it was like fantasy. Even though the same name is fantasy, like you understand, like there's a difference between like high fantasy, which is usually like medieval enchantment type of stuff, right? Like dark, like castles and fairies and dragons, stuff like that, right? And then sci-fi, cyberpunky type of stuff. Not cyberpunky the game, but you know, sci-fi, more futuristic type of stuff. Final Fantasy as a franchise, if I was to ask someone to describe Final Fantasy to me, like the entire franchise, like how you could describe like Zelda, like Link, dude goes and protects princess, doesn't talk, right? protects princess, princess has powers, and so forth and so on, right? Mario, plumber, princess. What does the game say look like? Uh, Horizon, right? That entire series. Like you can actually describe it. You can describe the game mechanics. You can describe some other things. There's sometimes offshoots of a game that you can say like, yo, this is how the game's going to play. I can't do that with Final Fantasy. Final Fantasy is like an original OG turn-based RPG strategy game, right? Strategy portion I get down with, turn-based I don't necessarily get down with. The new ones are like what? They're like kind of like this more action adventure type of game. Two totally different concepts, two totally different groups. Now, if you're a gamer who plays everything, like let me throw out like a Maker of Chaos. Like he's someone who like if I say a game name, Maker usually has played it. Squids. Like you all know these people in the gaming community that they probably played almost every game they can get their hands on. That's a small group of gamers. Vast majority of people kind of have what they like. Now they'll explore outside of it. They may like, hey, on a recommendation, look at something, or hey, this has a cool art style or voice actor or something like that. But when it comes to like core game mechanics and franchises, most people know what they like, especially if you've been playing a game. And so this game, I feel like, kind of doesn't have an identity. This franchise, I think it's just lost it. I think that's a Square Enix problem. Like when it first launched on PlayStation, the remake launched on PlayStation, people were saying, oh, the reason why, Square Enix said, hey, it didn't meet our expectations. Even though it sold like multi-million copies on PlayStation, they still were like, it didn't meet our expectations, right? And this was what PlayStation had like half of the current player base it has today. And so now it goes to Xbox and it doesn't sell over there as well either. I hear y'all. Some of y'all are like, yo, it didn't sell 22,000 or blah, blah, blah. It sold whatever. I can almost assure you this is not meeting their expectations there. Again, I don't think it's a platform issue. I don't even think it is a release schedule issue. Let me put that, for example, Cyberpunk, and we're going to get to this later on. Cyberpunk is like the number 2 selling game on Switch 2. And Cyberpunk came out like who knows when. Also, Cyberpunk runs better, obviously, on PlayStation and Xbox than it does on Nintendo. So obviously, there has to be something here about why Final Fantasy 16 is not doing well. Right? I think Final Fantasy 7 is going to be the same deal. I think it's going to be the same deal. And yeah, Obi, they're all there. Every Final Fantasy is different. So you get many elements. I think that kind of erodes player. Like you may have a player who loves a Final Fantasy, but they don't necessarily love another one. Like it's hard to develop a core fan base. And I think that's what gamers like at the moment. That's what they like. They like things that they like. So here's an example. If I took a Elden Ring game right now, right? And I turned it into like a turn-based strategy game. Elden Ring, like those fans would freak out. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying Final Fantasy is where From Software is today, but at one time, Final Fantasy had that type of player base. Final Fantasy at one time had that hype. And I just feel like this is a Square Enix problem. I have no idea what Final Fantasy is about. I've seen some of the new one, but it's a bit odd. Don't understand the game. Exactly, Zalek. Exactly. And you're a gamer, Zalek. You game on PlayStation 2 as one of your platforms. The people who follow this series, I think some of them have it, and they'll say, oh, this one was mid, this one was good, this one was bad. Like, but for the most part, this is just an iconic title that we hear. But we don't know what it's about. Like, it's a Square Enix problem. And I'm not sure, like, we're going to see how Final Fantasy VII Remake does. It's going to be launching on Switch as well, Switch 2 as well as Xbox at the same time. But I'm almost kind of at the point where I don't think Xbox is it's gonna probably do the same on Xbox. Nintendo, I could see some OG Nintendo fans who like don't play other systems again because Final Fantasy was like original like OG Nintendo title. Um, but yeah, I don't know. This is what you call like franchise malpractice. That's the best way I can say it. And so again, I think it is a Final Fantasy problem. How's bad take Thursday with the console? Oh, hey Jeff, what's going on? So yes. Lurk, no worries. Like, thanks for coming by. I know some people that like Final Fantasy. I don't think it's my thing. Yeah, Rouster, I don't. So they're probably the most famous with some crossover. Yeah, so this is because each one is, yeah. So Obi, I think we're saying, and I think different can work, but you gotta have to establish different. Here's a great one. Like I like to look at Zelda because now it's kind of going up. When you go into the action adventure genre, you're going up against Zelda, right? You're going up against like the Elden Rings when you start crossing over into that. So it's going up against like harder competition. Oh, by the way, we just got a turn-based RPG game that people are like praising from the high heavens in Obscure 33 or 33 Obscure. I don't know. Johnny Roadkill spent like a month and a half playing this game. And you're going like even the genre you dominated in, which is the genre that arguably you could say you helped build. I'm not going to say you created because I think other ones definitely, maybe I could say I created. At least in the console space, I think I could say it was probably the OG turn-based RPG game. I know Handheld, we might like throw in Pokemon in there, but I think like Final Fantasy predates Pokemon from the console side. And so if we just look at it from that side, like you've been usurped, to use a Game of Thrones term, you've been usurped. And again, I think it's a Square problem. It's not a console. It's not a console problem. I don't know. It costs a lot of money to produce these games. I don't know what it's going to take for them to turn around because, like I said, you have so many different aspects of what Final Fantasy is. I don't even know who the Final Fantasy crowd is anymore. So that's my thing. Like you're up against harder competition. Your OG crowd, you probably alienated with the game. The newer crowd, they probably have experiences with action RPGs that are comparable, if not arguably might be a little bit better, depending. Don't get me wrong, I'm not saying Final Fantasy is not a good game. I know people like Legend said it was amazing. I want to say Rune Mamba said it was really good. Don't hold me on that. I don't remember Rune talking directly about it. But I know there's a lot of people who like it. Main Games talked really highly about it. So I'm not saying it's a bad game. This is about the franchise, about the practice of selling stuff and nurturing a fan base. I think they've done not so well. A lot of people are like, yeah, Clear Obscure 33. Exactly. So that I don't know. So that's Final Fantasy. I think that's, I'm not going to, obviously I was a little bit hyperbolic in the title by saying it flopped. But yeah, I'm not so certain it's doing really, really well. So that's that. So with that, we're going to look at some Xbox news since we're on Xbox, even though we're really on Square, but since it kind of bleeds into Xbox, let's talk about Xbox here before we get into some Nintendo and PlayStation news, as well as some other titles. But first, let me show you this video because it's going to link to what we're going to talk about. So here we go.
At Xbox, our vision is for you to play the games you want with the people you want, anywhere you want. That's why we're investing in our next generation hardware lineup across console, handheld, PC, cloud, and accessories. I am thrilled to share we've established a strategic multi-year partnership with AMD to co-engineer silicon across a portfolio of devices, including our next generation Xbox consoles, in your living room and in your hands. Together with AMD, we are advancing the state of art in gaming silicon to deliver the next generation of graphics innovation to unlock a deeper level of visual quality and immersive gameplay and player experiences, enhanced with the power of AI, all while maintaining compatibility with your existing library of Xbox games. This is all about building you a gaming platform that's always with you, so you can play the games you want across devices anywhere you want, delivering you an Xbox experience not locked to a single store or tied to one device. That's why we're working closely with the Windows team to ensure that Windows is the #1 platform for gaming. The next generation of Xbox is coming to life, and this is just the beginning. We can't wait to show you what's next.
There we go. Let me know if y'all are still there. I think something I got disconnected there. Let me know if y'all are still there. Um, there we go. So let me know if y'all saw that. But yeah, so we're talking about a little bit. If you did not, let me know. But we're talking a little bit about this partnership. So Microsoft confirms first. Let me know. I don't know. I had to disconnect y'all. So if I'm not there, uh let me know because I feel like I lost y'all. But if not, I'm gonna just continue to go with what I'm doing. But yeah, with Microsoft confirms first party next generation Xbox console, announces deal with AMD, and promises full. The ball look is good. Oh wait, Simpleton posted something. We'll have to go check that out. So here it is. It confirms first party announced is deal with AMD and promises full backward compatibility with your existing Xbox library. So a lot of stuff was made about this announcement earlier this week, and a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it's the next generation of Xbox console." So a lot of people are talking about that. A lot of people are saying how this solidifies Xbox in the hardware space. I still am not necessarily. It'd be good, homie. Thank you, Obi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Um, to me, this one's. I'm still not. Don't get me wrong. I think there's a partnership with AMD and Xbox. Totally get it. The thing that sticks out about the most to me about this entire Xbox thing was Sarah Bond was the one talking about it. This is a prediction. This is a prediction. Next 15 months, Phil Spencer will step down from Xbox. That's my prediction. Next 15 months, Phil Spencer, check it, summer 2025. Purple is saying by the fall of 2026, Phil Spencer will no longer be the head of Xbox. Yeah, that's all I'm going to say. But with that said, hey, Spartan's here. With that said, I do want to talk about this. So I do think that what Xbox is doing is they are really changing their distribution model. Like that kind of goes without saying. Like once you do kind of go subscription service, you're doing that. But I think it's going beyond changing just like a subscription model. I think what they're really trying to do is just really connecting all of their software across all of their hardware, like across the entire Windows ecosystem. There was something in there that I thought towards the end that was very critical and are crucial, and that's that she says, "Hey, we're partnering with the Windows team." Now, if you ask me, they've always been kind of partnered with the Windows team, but I think that direct call out really shows that Windows is going to be underlying everything. And just like anything with Windows, probably not anything with Windows more I think about it, but I think they're kind of going similar, and this is going to sound crazy for you OG Microsoft computer type of people. In a way, I feel like they're going towards a iOS type of ecosystem. Now, that doesn't mean closed as far as hardware, like right, Apple, you have to buy Apple hardware. I think they're taking the same approach as far as like Apple software just works with like Mac works with iOS, works with like all sorts of things. So think about iOS, Windows, and then you now have third party instead of it being Apple who like makes Mac, it's really going to be third party who controls the entire ecosystem. This isn't too crazy, right? This is kind of what they've done with Windows to begin with. I just think they're going to be integrating that a lot closer um with Xbox now, and also you have this idea of cloud that they continue to do. I think cloud is really important, just because that is how they're going to be linking, um, kind of like all sorts of like your old Xbox console, like that backwards compatibility. I think that's going to be done mainly through the cloud. I think the Asus ROG X Ally, Xbox X Ally ROG Asus. I think that is going to be like kind of that model of partnership going forward with them. And so, yeah, I think more to come. I think it's going to be a little bit, the messaging on this is going to be a little bit back and forth over the next year and a half to 2 years. But again, I think to me, this kind of lens continues to go down the same thought that a lot of people have been having really about it. But the fact that Sarah Bond was giving us that, the fact that Sarah Bond is the one really talking about most of this stuff now, to me seems like the passing of the torch. So in the army, we had something called like a left seat ride, right seat ride, and that meant like when your left seat is you're shadowing who you're about to take over from, and then the right seat means like you're now leading with the other person, kind of just managing and kind of giving you guidance. I think we are at the right seat right of this portion. Sarah Bond is actually the one calling the shots at Xbox now, and it's only going to be a matter of time before like Bill Spencer kind of like, rides off into the sunset. I've been thinking this for quite a while now, just based upon uh, a lot of things Phil Spencer said over the last several years and how it's kind of been 180 from that in a lot of ways, or he's had a backtrack in it. But yeah, that's kind of the biggest news for me with that announcement with Sarah Bond. I don't necessarily think we learned anything different other than like Xbox is partnering more strongly with the AMD, but that's always been the case um with them. It does beg the question about Nvidia and where they are with gaming. So there, I could probably make a whole entire segment about that, where Nvidia is seeing the most profit, probably more from AI than gaming. What does that mean for their gaming division? What does that mean for GFN? That's a big question mark to me. But as far as this goes, I think this is just Xbox is kind of like really going in a different direction, in which Windows is still core, but to reach like, how should I say it? It's kind of like Microsoft Office, right? If we think about Microsoft Office, that is like their productivity suite of things. When you see Windows, you see Office, right? Like they kind of go hand in hand. But actuality is like Microsoft Office is like an entirely different suite of products from Windows. And I think that's kind of like how Xbox is. Like Xbox is just a different suite of products, not necessarily for productivity, but it's for gaming. And I just think they're going to try to link that a lot closer to how we see Microsoft Office and how that's just like a seamless integration. That's how I think like Xbox is going to be. But that's me. That's me. Will it play Amazon Luna? Which one? Xbox? Probably. Probably. Because Windows can play Luna, right? That's how I see it. That's how I see it. So I wanted to get that out there, since we were on it. So yeah, so that's that one. Let's see some other stuff. Um, what was the other news I had? Nintendo, right? Had some Nintendo news. So here we go. Actually, where is it? There we go. That's the Nintendo news. We're gonna see some stuff in the if it starts. I'm not sure if we may do the video here in a second. But here we go. Donkey Kong Bonanza. I guess I'm like over the donkey. Let's see if this makes sense. Let's do it like that. There we go. Donkey Kong Bonanza was launched just the other day. So yesterday there was a Nintendo Direct and Donkey Kong Bonanza was featured. So Donkey Kong game came out. And let's see, I'm kind of afraid to show this because last time I had some problems with my video. But let's see if we can do this. Let's see if we can do this. There we go. We don't have the sound. Um Actually, let me not do it. Like, let me just do this one. Let me do that one. It seems like the video is kind of messing. I don't want to do it too much, but overall, Donkey Kong's not for me. Y'all have never heard me talk about Donkey Kong. I think, but it showcased. A lot of people are saying that they're hyped for it. I'm totally okay with that. Like, I'm not someone who's like Donkey Kong's whoa, don't play it. I'm not going to say that. What I will say though is I feel like this is an interesting game. Um I without showing you like kind of the entire Nintendo Direct, it's hard to really explain to it, but Donkey Kong is kind of going in a weird way. It's a little bit like Tears of the Kingdom. I know that is a huge statement for people who've played Tears of the Kingdom and people who've played who know what Donkey Kong is. So you still have a story in it. I think it's going to be probably one of the most story-driven games that Nintendo has put forward. And if you think about that, like Zelda doesn't really have a huge story, neither does um, Mario. But I think this one is like directly meant to tie into like the movie series, so there's something to look like that from that aspect. But I think it has a very like deliberate story. On top of that, it has the ability, like Donkey Kong, if you saw the trailer, can like punch through basically everything in the game has the ability for him to punch through. And so why do I think that is going to be like Tears of the Kingdom? And if you remember, Tears of the Kingdom had the ability for you to build things, like you to create creations in it, for you to like solve puzzles different ways, like to put an engine on something, to put like a wing on something else, to do something, and it recreates some device to solve the game. Donkey Kong has like something similar, but it's a little different. Like he can like just basically shape the entire world, like an entire mountain. He can literally chisel that entire mountain to whatever he wants. On top of that, it has like this weird, like kind of like um Microsoft Paint type of situation with the characters where you can design the characters, like painting them. So it really seems like how Nintendo went with Tears of the Kingdom being somewhat of this like free form, like you play it the way you want to play it, you go through it the way you want to go through it. That is also going to be in Donkey Kong. Um, Again, I think it's a little different. It's not for me. Not for me, but I can see where Nintendo's going with this. Is like this entire next generation of Nintendo or current generation of Nintendo, however you think about it, is really just like you more about your individuality and how to go through stuff and being able to connect with other people. This one doesn't this one also is going to utilize the game share through game chat feature. So you can have like two players playing the same game at the same time. Now, some people mistake that to say like one player can start a new game and another player can start a new game. That's not how that works. It's more like a couch co-op situation. And it's going to have that again connecting with people, the ability to like share your creations similar to Tears of the Kingdom, utilizing an app to connect to people, and the ability to really like shape the game the way you would like to play it. I think it's unique. I think it's different. We're gonna see how this one plans out. Again, it's not a day and date for me, but let me know. Um Donkey, you're right, it doesn't. Um No worries, Spartan. Hope you drive safely. Yeah, yeah, that's what Roster said. Missed opportunity for Nintendo crossover DK with Shrek. Oh, Could have. It definitely could have. But that's like what? Who's that? Who makes Shrek? Disney? No. Who makes Shrek? Disney doesn't make Shrek, does it? Who makes Shrek? Paramount? I don't know. We're gonna be talking about one of those. I forget who makes Shrek, but it could be. It could be. But yeah. So Universal. Like so, this is gonna bother me. But yeah. So that's it. That's Donkey Kong. It dropped. So I think what I put Nintendo drops. We're gonna have some more Nintendo news. I guess we should get to that Nintendo news right now. Maybe. I think so. Yes. Okay. You win. So more Nintendo news. Here we are. Here we go. The other Nintendo news that we have. No. Yeah, should we do it? Should we talk about it? I think we will. Here we go. Let's do it like that. So third-party launch games on Switch 2 reportedly sold very low numbers. So this is really interesting because if y'all heard me talk about one of the key things about this Nintendo is their ability to get third-party support on the system. Traditionally, about 75 to 85% of the games sold on Nintendo come from first party. Our revenue produced from Nintendo is from first party IP. So the Switch 2 really offers an opportunity to expand that because it's more powerful. However, with that said, what we can also see with the Switch 2 is the number 2 selling game on Nintendo Switch 2 is Cyberpunk. On top of that, we saw a couple other Nintendo Switch 2 titles that are all kind of in the same, like doing fairly well in the top 10. Again, I don't know what that really means with a system that sold maybe 3.5 to 4 million copies or things so far. But there's obviously some third party that's not doing too well. So it makes me beg the question. This is why I said like the Final Fantasy thing on Xbox. I think there's something else going on there. I think it's a Square Enix problem. This Cyberpunk thing on Nintendo, this is an older game too that's already launched on other systems. If you ask me, it has a lot to do with I think there's been a lot of hype around Cyberpunk running better on Nintendo Switch 2 than Steam Deck. I just think there was more noise about Cyberpunk. Whether you want to call that advertisement or not, I think if there is advertisement, if there is potentially this idea of a story, then it's going to sell. It's gonna do at least decent on the system. There's another debate raging on. If y'all saw, I did another Nintendo. I did a YouTube short like late last week. Yeah, I think it was about physical and digital games, and a lot of people are saying Cyberpunk, which is one of the few third-party titles that are launching on Nintendo, has the entire game in physical format. So again, just to catch people up, Nintendo has something called a digital key. What is it called? A game key. And what that is like it's a physical, it's literally like a cartridge that downloads the game directly to your system, but you need that cartridge in order to play the game. So it acts it's kind of interesting about it's to me it's like a hybrid between a physical and a digital game. And most third-party games are on system on Switch 2 are launching like that. Cyberpunk did not. So some people are saying, "Hey, this is proof that physical still sells." I'm not going to go that far. I think it could. I just think it's good. It goes with the territory of you need like to hype up your game. You need to still advertise. You still need to market. You still need to figure out who your gamer is in order for people to buy it. Good news for Switch people or game devs who launch on Nintendo. Nintendo usually has a very long tail for game sales. And so I think as you start to see sales of certain titles, they will start to sell as well. That's another thing Cyberpunk did. It actually gave you both the original games as well as the Night City expansion as one game. I think if you're gonna launch your game onto another platform, you got to give it something else. You can't just say, "Oh, let me sell Yakuza," right? Like, if like, you gotta give it something else. Or, what's another one? I think Hitman is kind of like this as well. You have to do something else to drive hyped for people to say, "Oh, let me go buy that." Shrek is different animation studio. It's a studio opened up by someone who originally worked. Really? Okay, I did not know that. I didn't, but it's a big. Who's the distributor of Shrek? Y'all are gonna make me look this up, aren't you? Who's the distributor of Shrek? Uh, y- I don't even know. It's DreamWorks. Okay, there we go. DreamWorks. And they're owned by NBC Universal. All right, there we go. Universal Studios. There we go. That's what I meant. I couldn't figure out. Smash. Hey, Lotus, what's going on? How are you, Lotus? Lotus, what game are you looking forward to playing? Death Stranding. Isn't like could have made a whole thing. Isn't Death Stranding launching soon? Death Stranding 2? I know a lot of people are looking for that. DreamWorks. Yep. So that's my thing about Nintendo. That's my thing about what's going on here. I think just like with every other system, just because you have a lot of people who play on Nintendo doesn't mean you're going to sell. I also think some of the lessons learned when I was trying to buy the game studio, and I actually talked to like some of the Nintendo. She's not the head of Nintendo partnerships, but she's pretty close to it. She was saying like, hey, if you launch a older game on our system, you have to take into account, did this game launch on a subscription service? If it did, and if it's older, well, two different thoughts. If you launch on the subscription service already, you can't expect to sell it at full price. You're gonna have to sell it at a discount. So that's one. Two, if it's launched and it's older, we're not going to give it any marketing support. So you're going to have to do the heavy lifting. As I said before, I think Cyberpunk got a lot of free advertisement from like the Digital Foundry type of people, with everybody saying, yo, is this game going to launch better than the Steam Deck? Is it going to play better than the PlayStation 5? There was like just this artificial noise of Cyberpunk. Also, oh, by the way, Cyberpunk has like an ecosystem that lives outside of the gaming um echo chamber, right? You have the Netflix series. So there's a lot of things that you could say Cyberpunk like kind of went in its direction. If your game, like I said, a Yakuza, and I'm not saying Yakuza is the one that didn't sell too well. I actually was going to look up in my system what are the top selling third-party games. But if you are going to launch somewhere else, you have to provide something else. You have to you have to get some type of hype going on, and most likely people will buy it. Another thing that's not mentioned in this article is that a lot of people own Nintendo as well as a gaming PC, as well as a PlayStation or an Xbox. So a lot of times your sales are going to come from people who've already bought the game. Now, some people would say, I'm only buying one copy of the game. I am one of those people who will buy the same game for multiple platforms. I've done this with Darksiders. I'm currently doing this with Little Nightmares, which we're gonna have something with Little Nightmares later. I will do that, but I'm not gonna pay full price for the same game I already own, unless it's Diablo. I will do it for you, Diablo, but I will not do it for for a lot of other franchises. So again, if you're gonna launch, you have to launch at like something that drives some type of demand. Oh, you did, roster? I'm so sorry. It's going so fast if I don't see it. I don't see it. Let's see. Death Stranding Monday, 11 p.m. in the US. I will be playing the entire day. Tuesday will be absolutely beautiful on PlayStation Pro. I am also very excited for Xbox Handheld. Lotus, you said that. You said that last. I think it's you. I think Rouster, if I'm not mistaken, Rouster's not as excited. Rouster's looking forward to it, not as excited. There's someone else who's super hyped for the Xbox handheld. But here's the thing I'm going to ask you, Lotus. Lotus, I think you're going to get us several Xbox handhelds. Like, you know what I mean? I don't think you're gonna get one Xbox handheld. I think you're gonna have like Asus is gonna have an Xbox handheld. I think Lenovo's gonna have an Xbox handheld. I think it's truly gonna be like you saying, hey, like the way you phrase that right now, like I'm excited for the Xbox handheld, is like someone saying to me, this is me. I'm excited for the Microsoft laptop. And it's like, whoa, wait a second. There's like multiple micro. There's like the Windows laptop or the Chromebook. Like, well, there's multiple companies. So the question I have for you is, which one of those are you going to be most excited for? Are you going to consistently try to upgrade? Like, because that's what I think is going to happen. Like, they're going to have a really cool Xbox handheld come this fall, but I also think come next year, there's going to be like a more powerful one. Like they're going to say like Lenovo's going to say something like they have a faster processor and stuff. So I think that's going to become the more of the battle is it's going to be more of like, this is a handheld that can play your Xbox library, your Steam library, your Epic library, whatever it is. And also we can get all the cloud services. I think that's what it becomes. That's me personally though. Nintendo sent me an invite for Switch 2 last night. I declined as all my favorite games still run at 30 FPS. Unacceptable in 2025. What are your favorite games? What are your favorite games? Curious. Not super hyped, but I'm interested in for sure. Yep, that's what I thought. What are your favorite games, Lotus? Curious, because if you tell me like, what's a game that runs at 30, but it's like designed for 30? I don't know. If you tell me Animal Crossing, I'm gonna be like, not because Animal Crossing is not a good game, but because I don't think Animal Crossing is designed to run for like 120 FPS. But that's my Nintendo news today. All right. So what is the third one? I think I said PlayStation. Got a couple Sony news today. And so this is kind of like a back and forth one, and I promise we'll get into some game trailers here pretty soon. The base white first edition for around 500 is fine. I do not want the top tier. All right, look. All right. Well, I'm just asking. You said you're super excited about it. So I'm like, which one? I may be interested in the next Rock Alley, whether it's branded Xbox or not. Simpleton, why is that? Why is that? Because you have a lot of systems. So I'm curious why this one. Same thing with Wit, if she's still in chat. Like y'all who have PC handhelds already, why this one? Why? Because it's like, is it purely just because you can have both libraries in one device? Because that's a good enough reason. Or is there something like, hey, I think they've worked out the kinks now. Like, why this one? That's why I'm always like, I'm just curious. All right. But here we go. We're going to have a little whiplash here in a second. There we go. Bungie has delayed Marathon indefinitely. No more Marathon. I've told y'all before, I don't really know what this game's about. I know it's like an extraction shooter, a live service game coming from PlayStation's first party studio that they purchased, which is Bungie. So we've called this. It's probably been delayed enough times. We're not sure if there's a market for this. Not really sure if PlayStation's real gaming space is live service. But yeah, that's what we have. It's delayed indefinitely. But wait, there's more. So there's Paul Tassi writing about it right there. Oh, Paul Tassi. Oh, Forbes Gaming, Paul Tassi. But then look at what he wrote today. Marathon will not be canceled. It will not pivot. So I feel like Paul Tassi's been beaten up enough times. If y'all don't know Paul Tassi, he's like a game writer for Forbes. He's taken some hits over the years for some of his gaming takes. I think overall he does decent work. I think he's kind of trying to ride the fence a little bit on this one. And if you were to read the articles, what this really talks about is a little bit about how Marathon, in this article at least, that Sony's still going to launch it. They've invested too much for it. This is why they bought Bungie, yada, 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 yada. My opinion is this. The same thing I say about Microsoft and Xbox buying Bethesda and how I don't think that is necessarily going to eventually meet the expectations they initially set when they spent whatever 8 billion or whatever number. Gosh, that's a lot of money, y'all. $8 billion. When they spent $8 billion for it, I definitely don't think Bungie is ever going to equate to 3.2 billion for Sony. I think eventually Sony will have to write off a significant portion of this purchase. And even back then, I never thought Bungie was worth $3.2 billion. If Bethesda was worth 8, I'm not saying Bethesda wasn't worth 8. What I am saying is I think Bethesda's best days are behind it, and its legacy was probably worth 8. I'll say that. Bungie, I don't think its legacy or anything was ever worth 3. So, in my opinion, again, I whether this game launches or not, it doesn't matter. It would not surprise me if we see Bungie somehow off on its own again, because I just don't see why this just doesn't make sense to me anymore, especially considering this purchase happened under the last CEO. I don't think the current regime is really like live service seems to be pretty competitive. And when I say pretty competitive, pretty stagnant. There are new live services that are coming out, but a lot of those are not the pay to play type. They're free to play. The ones that are really making it are really utilizing some unique competitive advantage. I don't know what this one has. Maybe it does well. If you ask me, eventually this will find a very similar path to what is that? The other one, Concord. But let's see. I'm going to take these. Oh, nice. All right. Wish happy birthday. Are you asking if I'm interested in the Xbox or a handheld PC in general? Handheld PCs in general, with because you have a Steam Deck. So I'm curious about some of y'all who have like handhelds already. Would you buy another handheld PC type of? I know a Steam Deck's not a handheld PC, but would you be interested in like the new Steam Deck? Or like for you all who have a ROG Ally or a Lenovo Go, are you interested in this new one? Because my theory when it comes to handheld PCs, Lotus, in my opinion, even though they are super excited about this, to me, I think there is once you get a handheld PC, the next one has to be like it's not like just upgrading your regular PC. Like some of them, I guess, are like interchangeable like that. But to me, it's like once you get it, how much better is the next one? And that's the question. Like, are you all going to be like, oh, I have to get the next one when it comes out? And it seems like Lotus kind of answered my question. They said no, they're fine with like the mid tier. I don't think they did pricing. If they did, Lotus, my mistake on that. But they said like, yo, no, I want the 500. I don't want to go like high end on that. So yeah, that's my question. Like, are you going to like get the next one? Like, will you get a Steam Deck too? Wit, I guess that's the question. Hogwarts Legacy, Hitman, and Cyberpunk are still 30 FPS on Switch too. Whoa, Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk? Whoa, 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 whoa. You sure about that one? You sure about that one, Lotus? Cyberpunk? Cyberpunk's running pretty well on it. Hitman. You would Hogwarts Legacy, I believe. But I don't know. Are you saying handheld or dock? See, I don't know. Some of these I play in dock and I did not see it. But that's just me. Bungo had to delay that game when they Bungo. I like that Bungo. They got caught stealing designs and now probably have to redo all of it. I don't know. I don't know. I think that game's gonna. I don't think that game's gonna launch. Who did they steal designs from? Bungie needs to refocus on Destiny, get players engaged again. The Destiny 2 lore is too deep for new players. Do a Destiny 3 and start with a new canvas. I agree. I think Destiny 2 lore is as someone who tried to get into Destiny and I was running Ambi, was it you I was running that with? I think it was. I was just shooting things. Like, I didn't know what was going on, and I like stories, and, like, I kinda understood, but the whole idea that you're a ghost and, like, the little ghost thing, like, that still concept is still kinda like, I don't quite get that. Like, I don't like, we're a spirit from a prior world, like, that part, y'all are like, "Purple, that's, like, the easiest concept." Yeah, but for me, it's not, okay? I don't quite understand who I am in Destiny. Am I a ghost or am I not a ghost? So yeah, I'm back, been lurking, listening, oh my god, at a dental appointment. Yikes! Yikes! That's what we gotta say about that. Now, last little bit about gaming news. Here we go. PlayStation could be acquiring Warner Brothers gaming franchises. This is really interesting to me. This is super, super interesting because I just talked about how they bought Destiny and that did not do well. But them buying Warner Brothers is super interesting because I think this makes perfect sense. Like, I think Sony and Warner Brothers, Sony Pictures, Warner Brother Pictures, they have been at odds before. Again, this is just for their gaming franchises. Warner Brothers is probably looking to sell right now. If you want to know, like, this is Hogwarts for y'all. This is Game of Thrones. This is Mortal Kombat. All those franchises sit here, right? This is, oh, what was that? The Rivals. What is the game, like the fighting game that I think went out of commission? That is all Warner Brothers. There's a DC universe here as well. So the reason, and that's what gets me thinking, right? Batman, that's Warner Brothers Studios. So I think PlayStation, I just talked about how they did horrible in live service. I just don't think they're good at it. I think when they do well, it's the exception to the rule. However, I do think they do. I think they make solid story driven games. If you were to put Warner Brothers IP underneath them and you start to think about what they were able to do with Spider-Man. I'm not talking like the the movies. I'm not talking like the movies and stuff. I am talking about the superhero games, like the hero genre. When you give them the Warner Brothers catalog of franchises, right? The game rights to DC Universe, to like anything HBO did, to like, that's what all this comes with. You know what I mean? Um, it makes a ton of sense to me, right? HBO, and I think there's a relationship there already. So when we think of The Last of Us, yes, The Last of Us is done by, I forget which Sony studio, but one of them. I can't think of it. Y'all are gonna like shoot me for this one. It's not Santa Monica, it's the other one they have that's like really, really solid. When you think about that, and then you think about, where did The Last of Us TV show actually launch? It launched on HBO, and who owns HBO? Like, Warner Brothers, right? And so, like, if you think about that entire IP that is going to come with Warner Brothers, and I said this before, when you're dealing with game companies, essentially you're just dealing with IP, trademarks, IP, and to a degree, patents. As we found out with the Nintendo lawsuit with the Pokemon ripoff. Power World. That's it. So if you already have the know-how with the Sony like game engines and some of that stuff, and you can start to insert and do some interesting stuff, like with a Batman, with a Superman, with whatever I don't even know who DC is really, but I'm told they have a lot going on there. And then you can start to like click through and maybe do like a very proper like Game of Thrones game, right? You can start to click through and look at that catalog a little bit deeper. I think this is what I'm more excited about. You know what I mean? Like, no offense to the Bungie deal. like, I understand why they did that, but I think Sony does well when they give you solid, emotionally story-driven games. And that's what I think this is gonna go through. I think in the next 6 months, this is gonna go through. Partly, I know that because, own Warner Brother Discovery stock, and they've been talking about this for about the last 6 months. So, we'll see. There's still a lot of games to play on the OG Steam Deck or current gen consoles. If they don't run well on the deck, maybe after the next console gen, if there's, like, 3rd Steam Deck. Wow, that's a long time with thanks for that. Naughty Dog, thank you, Lotus, thank you, Ambi. Power yep, that's it. Oh, what did Spartan say? Spartan came back? I haven't seen Spartan. Where's Spartan? I didn't see Spartan's comment, but I see at Spartan 100. Um, so we'll see. I love good story games. Zay, like I think that's why I'm excited about. That's why I think this is a good deal. Like that's a good marriage. And then when you think about Sony and their partnership with gosh, who's the anime group that they have? I think Sony's going through a lull right now because they pinned a lot of their hopes on live service. We saw this 3 to 4 years ago where they're like, half of our library will be live service. That's backfired spectacularly, right? And so it seems like there's this empty library of things, and it's just because like a lot of their projects didn't make it. I feel that they are coming out of that just now, right? You have the Interstellar game that I'm gonna probably get, just because it looks like something I would like. You have several third-party exclusives that they've been heavily invested in with the um, whatever the China initiative that they had. I can't think of the name of it right now. You have like the Wolverine game that's been teased again. They do well when they have stories. They do well when it's like that single player experience. Maybe they can make it work with like a multiplayer, but a live service is not the answer. I think right now, in order to make it in the gaming industry, going back to my initial thing, where's that initial one? Going back to this, you have to be known for something. Final Fantasy, I don't even know what it's known for anymore, right? If I think about Xbox hardware, you have to know about something. You have to be known about something, right? And I think Xbox hardware or probably their franchises there before they got ABK, they did not like their games had like this wish-washy type of feel to it. It's like you're not really progressing the genre too much. It's not to say anything about the Xbox 360 era. It's everything to say about the Xbox One and Xbox Series era. So I think that's where Sony is. They've kind of went through that. They're pivoting. I totally expect by next year, 2026, that 2026, 2027, 2028 will probably be some solid lineups from Sony. We'll see. We'll see. But overall, I like it. I like it. I like it. You're thinking of Crunchyroll. No, that they own Crunchyroll. It's a Kotaku. It's like something with a K. Something with a K or something with an H. If I had Dorgon would know. Good. Hey, Torino. How are you? I meant to respond to you on Xbox. I was there Sunday night and I haven't been on my Xbox since Sunday. It was red velvet with white icing. Ooh. Aren't what is red velvet? What is red velvet cake? Like it's chocolate, but what is the red from red velvet? I don't know. I'm drawing a blank right now. I know what the cake looks like. Like you just described a cake. I know what it looks like. I don't know what the red. Why is it called red velvet? Purple thoughts on crimson. What do you mean on crimson? The color crimson? I posted pics of him. His cake. Zay, more thoughts. Give me more. Is Lotus? Hey, Spartan Lotus gave you a shout out earlier. No, it's the like yeah, but Torino Johnson. The I'm thinking of they own Crunchyroll from what I understand, but it's the other one. It's like the really other big company. Red velvet is a mix of vanilla and chocolate, but I don't know for sure. See. It's one of those things. Like this is what I think of. Like I'm like, it's a mixture of vanilla and chocolate. Which kudos to y'all if y'all know the country that both of those originate from. We've talked about this on this channel. I always have to give a shout out. I always have to give a shout out. I always have to represent. Where does chocolate and vanilla originate from? So many people get this wrong. So many people get this wrong. I don't think Sony can afford Warner because they couldn't get enough cash there to buy TriStar Columbia Pictures. Trust me, even if it's in lower, Warner Brothers is worth even. This is just Warner Brothers games. This is just their games. So Torino Johnson, I think that it's not about cash. Trust me, Sony could do it. Sony has cash on hand in these deals. It's not, they won't do an all out cash deal, but they have enough. I think people think that these companies, they can raise cash, right? Like that's one. They could raise cash, they could sell stock, they have cash on hand, and this is just for the gaming IP. And if you've been following Warner Brothers Discovery, so if you've been following this, I know this because I invested in AT&T about 10 years ago. So I've been following this for like 10 years. AT&T, after like they had this whole little like fallout with Time Warner, right? Like they tried to get that through. It eventually got declined. It also racked up a ton of debt, mostly from the AT&T side. This is not really about gaming. This is about it, but I do want to make the point. AT&T then decided to say, like, we're going to form two entities. We're going to form AT&T and Warner Brothers Discovery. So it was like this huge conglomerate that just backfired miraculously. And it makes sense, right? You have like a telecommunications company and like a multimedia company. It may have made sense at one time, but it doesn't make sense really now. So they spent off. You have AT&T now as a separate entity, and Time Warner or Warner Brothers Discovery is a different entity. So AT&T is doing well. Now, Warner Brothers Discovery has not been doing well over the last like year and a half. So now what they're saying is, okay, we're going to spin off again. We're going to have the Warner Brothers side of the house doing something and the Discovery side of the house doing something. This is kind of the same thing Ubisoft is doing. So to kind of bring it back to gaming, this is, and companies do this because they'll say like, hey, our missions are so vastly different across the company, right? So they'll say something like, hey, in Ubisoft situation, the side of the house that knows how to do Rainbow Six Siege, Tom Clancy, and there's like another one. That side of the house, y'all focus on what you do really well. And then they're going to have the other side of the house that's like the Monopoly game or all these other like Ubisoft, like Guitar Hero, whatever, right? Separate, and then those two sides do what they're going to do. But when those two sides are going to do what they do, they're going to focus on their core products. So in the Warner Brothers Discovery side of things, when they split off, I totally expect this to happen. Warner Brothers at the end of the day, when you think about them, you don't think about games, right? You think about Bugs Bunny, right? You think about like that element of Warner Brothers. You think about maybe DC because they own that. But they don't really do games really well. And it's shown over the last few years, besides Hogwarts Legacy. So what they're going to do is they're going to offshore it. They're going to sell it. Then all it is IP. It's not that expensive. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a lot more money than I have. But Crimson Desert is a game. Zalik, I'm gonna have to check the Zalik. I brought in the other one you told me to bring in last week, but let me get on to you more on that one. But when you think about this one, like in my opinion, this deal is probably worth like maybe because of the debt that Warner Brothers already has, because they have nothing in pipeline, right? You've already have Harry Potter came out already. So it's kind of hard to say like, oh, the game's worth Harry Potter. It's kind of like when I was buying the game. Even though I was buying a game that had sold over 3 million copies, the overall cost of that IP wasn't worth like $100 million. It was worth like at the end of the day, like 250,000. So I think this deal, I'll be surprised if this deal is worth more than 5 billion. And I think Sony could easily absorb $5 billion. Easily. Easily. The chocolate cake, Google says, okay, ooh, y'all came in with the same time. Red velvet cake combines the richness of cocoa with a slight tang from the buttermilk. I don't even know what that means. Creating a distinct flavor that differentiates from a typical chocolate cake. Okay. Chocolate cake is dyed red, which is different. Also think the icing is cream cheese based. Ooh. Y'all just said two different things. I do know enough about baking to know y'all just described two different things. So is there like two different red velvets? Lotus likes Crimson Desert. Have I seen this? Have I seen Crimson Desert? I usually am really good. Hogwarts Legacy 2 is rumored to be tied to the new show somehow, but this is gonna ruin it. No. See, here's the thing. I think if it wasn't Sony, because you have to think, like, the thing I've always said of why Sony is so good at story-driven games is because they're an entertainment company. At the end of the day, Sony is a hardware and an entertainment company. Everything they do revolves around those two things. Sony Pictures, Sony Music, Sony Hardware, Sony PlayStation, Sony Instruments, Sony, like, that's what they do. That's why they got rid of, like, the Sony finance arm, because they don't do that well. They do entertainment well. And Sony would most likely do, just like anything else, that if anything, that's going to drive the deal, right? Warner Brothers would still do the movie or still do whatever, the show, whatever it is. And Sony would say, okay, we have the game rights. If you already gave us the story, I think it's a perfect pairing. It is because they already work together. But I hear you. But I'm just going to tell you, I think that's a really good pairing. Now, if you told me like going to Nintendo, no. If you told me like Xbox, no. If you had told me Ubisoft, no. But with Sony, they know how to like take care of IP. I'll say it like that. I got my answer from Google. All right, and Mortal Kombat games. Yeah, I said that about them. That's probably the one that you're right, because Sony doesn't do fighting games well, and Mortal Kombat is also there. But I think that's why they've kind of packaged Mortal Kombat up to where Mortal Kombat 1 doesn't really have any more. I would have to ask Obi-Rose Kenobi, but almost positive Mortal Kombat 1 is kind of like a complete package, right? They've no more expansions, no more costume sets. So that game is ready to ship. So it is ready to be in its new place. But again, I think they Warner Brothers Discovery has been talking about this because they want to sell. Like when you have someone who wants to sell, you have someone who wants to buy, they're gonna come together and do it. I don't think the other people who could come in and scoop it up, it's gonna shock y'all. One other company there's only one other company that I think will come in and scoop it up. That's Apple. If Apple was really serious about jumping in to the gaming space to create more first-party IP, they would do this. But from what I understand, they're pulling back from their IP and TV. So that tells me that they probably see some risk to first-party IP. And it makes sense, right? Apple is really about an ecosystem. People come to that ecosystem because it's such a tightly integrated ecosystem. I don't think Apple does as well when it's their first party. Like Nintendo, gold, right? Nintendo does amazing, but it's kind of hard. We'll see. More to come. It is red number 40 dye and cream cheese. You sound like you're talking about my lipstick. Red number 40. And cream cheese icing. Okay. So we got red velvet is cream cheese. Okay. I do believe it's slightly more bitter than chocolate because of the buttermilk and vinegar. What? I gotta go see this now. And the Batman games will stay. I think that is what Zaloff was saying. but I could be wrong. Things change day from day. Yep. We'll see. What was Zalek saying? Did I miss you, Zalek? I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We'll see. Oh, Hogwarts Legacy 2 is rumored to be tied to the new show somehow. I bet that decision will ruin it. Oh, I get what you're saying. You're saying the Hogwarts Legacy being a spin-off of the show. I'm sorry, Zalek. I had to think. It's hard. We're talking about red velvet cake in games. Forgive me. and then corporate finance. It's difficult sometimes. I get what you're saying. You're saying the show will ruin Hogwarts Legacy. I got you. I think Xbox was set to buy them before ABK came up to buy. If ABK and Warner Brothers would have been, I think that would have been a horrible mistake for them, though. I think it would have. This is why. I believe. Let me go full camera on this one. I believe, and then we'll talk about some game trailers. I hope, but I don't want to go because like some of these game trailers have been kind of freezing up on me. So I don't want to like freeze myself out. So but with that said, so here's my thing about why I think ABK made perfect sense for Mike. Let me hold that. Why ABK made perfect sense for Microsoft and ABK didn't make perfect sense for ABK. ABK makes perfect sense for Microsoft because Microsoft, at the end of the day, they have somehow continued to contract in as far as gaming goes. They sell less consoles, they sell less first-party games. Their first-party franchises continue to have done worse year over year, except for like Forza. And so I don't think and it's not an Xbox issue, it's a Microsoft issue. I continue to say this. People don't quite understand what I mean by that. But when you've worked for a corporation, you totally know what I mean by that. And like a large like corporation. What ABK came and did, in my opinion, is ABK came in and showed them how to make a sustainable gaming business. ABK, they were able to pull up and say, oh, wow, King, sustainable gaming business. World of Warcraft, sustainable gaming business. Call of Duty, sustainable gaming business. Diablo, sustainable gaming business. All four of those things I just mentioned were all more profitable and more sustainable than anything that Xbox had built. And I know that sounds bad, like I'm trashing Xbox. I'm not. It has nothing to do with like how good a franchise Halo is, how good a franchise Gears of War is. It has everything to do with what you need to do to develop a loyal fan base and franchise. Perfect example again. They're screwing this one up. Square Enix is screwing this up. It has nothing to do with PlayStation. It has nothing to do with PC. It has nothing to do with Xbox. It has everything to do with the fact that Square Enix, hear me out on this. Square Enix doesn't know like how to like they have been in crypto. They've been live service. They've been in Web3. They've been everywhere. They tried to change their game so many different times that they've lost the core of the franchise. They didn't bring the player along. I'm not saying that's what Xbox did. What I'm saying Xbox did or did not do, Xbox did not evolve their franchises. And so all the goodwill that was built in the Xbox 360 era, prior to the Red Ring of Death, all the goodwill that was built up there, they slowly attrited that. Right? That's why I don't think it would have been good for them to get Warner Brothers. Because if we went back to Warner Brothers, I think it's a great, thank you, Torino Johnson, for this. I think this is, Warner Brothers doesn't know how to make a successful gaming company. They don't have a successful IP. It's Bethesda. Bethesda is a better gaming company than Warner Brothers Games. And I would say Bethesda's issues right now have to do with Bethesda prior to Microsoft acquiring them. This is why I think Microsoft's ultimately going to write this one off. Because at the end of the day, Bethesda, and I've made this analogy before, Bethesda is the aging sports superstar who's past their prime. ABK, not so much. Say what you will about Bobby Kotick. Bobby Kotick knew how to run a gaming business. And that I don't think Phil Spencer is. I worked for C. You worked for C? Coca-Cola? I hear you. I heard you. I'm not gonna ask you, right? But you get what I'm saying, right? Like, it had nothing to do with Xbox. And so that's why I think that's why ABK made perfect sense for them. Now, I don't think Xbox will take ABK where Bobby Kotick could have taken ABK. As bad as a person as he was, I think he just knew how the industry worked. And that's that. Look, I can't stand Elon Musk, right? But I'm not going to say that that dude doesn't know how. Like, he obviously got to where he got to because he's had to have some convention and he followed through with it. And it's the same thing. Like, now, would I love there to be some benevolent, like, richest person in the world? Sure, but I think that's an oxymoron. So that's my thing. That's why I hope Sony gets it, because I think Sony needs it. Kind of like Microsoft needed someone to show them how to run a good gaming company. I think Sony needs IP. Right? I think Sony knows how to make a good game. I don't think they know how to create, like, at one time they knew how to create a series, but I don't think that's today. And so they need something else. That's what I'm saying. CBS for years. Oh, really? I have some friends at CBS. CBS television. I got you. That's super cool. CBS. I've had a lot of friends who worked at NBC Universal. I've had friends who worked for NBC Universal, friends who've worked at Disney. Disney's probably like, even CBS, like CBS is probably like consistently like fourth. But yeah, you get what I'm saying. There's certain things that can run well on CBS and certain things that couldn't. Like, right, you have CBS Sports, you have CBS like soap operas, you have CBS News. All those are different segments. But you probably couldn't get CBS. Oh man, I'm thinking like a CBS documentary, like things that run on like Netflix probably wouldn't work at CBS. Like, they wouldn't do well there. You know what I mean? I don't know. It's the best I can do. Like, I haven't looked at that industry in a second. Like that company in a second. All right, we're gonna try this. I want to show some trailers. Fingers crossed that these work. If they don't, I apologize. But fingers crossed that they work. Let me pull myself off because I think it kind of messes up when I have the camera on at the same time. So fingers crossed that they work. Zalek, we're gonna do yours first. So there we go. Plague Tale coming out. So Zayla got to talk to us about this last week. I didn't show it because it wasn't part of the game showcase. It was leaked. Even copying that trailer took a little bit of workaround. So shout out to Ambi. He's extraordinary, like about how to make that stuff work. And so we were able actually to get it. There was like some other like restrictions on that. But that is Plague Tale. Now I've played the first one. I have not streamed the second one yet. Second one is much longer than the first one. Uh I'm gonna tell you what I like about this, right? Way bigger looking. Yeah. Wait, what is this? I love both of the previous games, so I'm excited to play this. Yeah, so here's what I'm excited about this. I love it when, like, if we played Plague Tale, right? Now I've seen the parts of the second one, but I feel like Plague Tale 1 and Plague Tale 2 come together, right? You have it to where Amicia, the brother, it's like they connect. It's kind of like Ori, right? Like they just go together. Now, could you make a sequel to Ori? Yes, me, no. Can you make a sequel to Plague Tale? Kind of, because they do leave it a little bit open at the end of the second one, a little bit. But to me, it's still like a complete story. However, people are like, well, Purple, I still want to be in that universe. I totally hear you. That's why I would say I love a prequel. Because what you can do with a prequel is you can expand the universe. You can like lay out things a little bit better. So a shout out to Focus Entertainment because y'all know I love Focus Entertainment. Like when I say I love for them, I love to cheer for them. So maybe it has to something to do with like I studied in France. I don't know, but I really like them, and I want to see them do well. And I think when you can open it up from the beginning, tell a different story that you can then pick up in the second one, right? Like the story arc. I'm excited for it. Probably what right as they like give us more information on this, which I'm telling you, Gamescom is shaping up. Like everybody always talks about like the Japanese, game studios, and I think they do well. Obviously Summer Games Fest is very Xbox centric. A lot of like the US studios, like I totally get why it's like that. Uh that's there. Game Awards is Japan. If you really think about it, like a lot of PlayStation stuff gets launched there. Nintendo just does what they want to do. But Gamescom is a lot of European studios, and I am really, really looking forward to seeing more from this one. Uh, with that said, we got another one, another little trailer teaser. Uh, then yeah, I think it will have more active combat too. I'm open. You saw with the knife? Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to seeing more about it. You got me excited. Again, taking care of your IP. You have to do that in gaming. That's all that it is. It's only that. If you lose the IP, you can make it reboot it, but it's gonna take a lot. Ask Atari. So here's the next one. This one, y'all, is one of my favorites. This is one of my favorites. All right, so it's a short one, but we're gonna come back here in a second to talk about this. But it is short. So that's it wasn't really a trailer. It's a teaser to they're doing a showcase June 24th for Little Nightmares. I love Little Nightmares. I love that universe. Again, take care of the IP. Little Nightmares, though, is a little different. The IP is owned by Bandai Namco, as we know, but Supermassive is doing the game. So think about uh Supermassive does the trilogy games, the anthology. Why am I drawing a blank? The Devil in Me and all those like Dark Pictures anthology. Oh, I couldn't say it. Dark Pictures anthology. So they know horror to a degree. I'm really looking forward to it. I'm like, that is, I don't know. I'm gonna probably have to like block out my calendar for that time frame just to see it. Little Nightmares is the number 4 game. Little Nightmares 3, that is the number 4 game for me this year. So that is super high expectations. So far, we've gotten South of Midnight, met my expectations at number 2. Reanimal, number 1. Mio, Memories in Orbit, number 3. But Little Nightmares 3 is number 4. All of those 4, I have super high expectations for. And so that's coming out. Mark your calendars if you're a Little Nightmares fan. It's coming out. The trailer, not the game, but they're going to do a showcase. Is gonna be next week. I don't think y'all know how excited I am. Like I am. The only thing that could top this excitement is Darksiders. That's the only thing. Maybe a Pikmin, but I would have to wait 10 years again. But this one, I'm excited for it. I'm so excited. Cowboy, what's going on? If it isn't Purple Haze, Miss Nintendo, what's your thoughts of games not selling on the Switch 2? Not that shocking to me since I called it. No, we talked about this, Cowboy. We did talk about this. But since you're here, and in case some people didn't see it, we did talk about this, right? Third-party launch on Switch 2 reported still very low numbers. This is actually not totally true. The number 2 game selling on Switch 2 right now is Cyberpunk, right? And if I actually, I just so happen to have my Switch 2 right here. Let me actually tell you, number 2 Cyberpunk. You have a game called Fantasy Life, Deltarune. No Man's Sky is one of the top 10 selling games right now. Split Fiction is a top selling game right now. Street Fighter 6 is a top selling game right now. And after that, you have one more that I can't necessarily see at the moment. So I say all that to say, I think some games are not selling really well right now, but that's also just like anything else, right? I think if you don't advertise on the Switch, it's a new console. And so let me just put this in perspective. There's maybe 4 million Switches out in the wild right now. At the best case scenario, most are like first person shooters, like the biggest genre for third party games, popular games, that is. And if I were to take Call of Duty is still only worth like 27% of the market. That's a huge percentage, right? That's a huge percentage. But that's 27%. So once you kind of start going further down the list of that, like a Yakuza game is still only like 5%. I keep picking on Sega and Yakuza. Don't ask me why. So I would say depends on the game. You have to give something to it. Every third party game that launched on Switch 2 has been basically an older game. Kunutsigami Path of the Goddess, probably the newest third party game that launched on Switch 2. That launched last year, right? But Hitman, several years old. Yakuza, several years old. Street Fighter, 2 years old. Even Cyberpunk. So you have to give something to the game. You can't charge a full price for a game that just came out. Or I mean, for a game that's been out several years. And so I think like that's a little mismatch what you said, because you can't tell me that what third party game did not sell. And when you actually compare, even with the people who actually monitor this, they still are saying about 40%, 40 to 48%, depending on if you add in Mario Kart and a couple other games, are third party sales. So I do want to say that. Can Switch players just import their old games? They can. They can. Switch players can. It's backwards compatible. Plague Tale, but yeah, so Cowboy, I think you're just causing trouble. A Plague Tale was an Xbox Showcase week ago because it made it by Asobo, who makes Microsoft Flight Center and is an Xbox close part. Asobo is. Plague Tale is. But I still don't I think like Microsoft made it show. I didn't see it. Like I said, I didn't see it. I didn't hear about it. I know they leaked it. Um, but again, I don't. I think some people would say, "Oh, that's a Microsoft part," but I don't. I think they're totally different teams, and I get why Xbox people like to claim it, but I I don't. I don't think they really like. Other than that, that's that's all they have. That's me. That's me. I would say the same thing about anyone else. It's like Sony claiming. What did I just say? Sony did. Sony claiming something. Oh, shit, because that doesn't work the same way. Because they own that IP. I don't know. I just don't. I don't look at it that way. It's just me. It might not be top selling out of the 26 two Switch games, but they are still selling way under expect. But K9 says it's because they aren't physical out of 26, only 4 are physical. So we talked about that as well. We talked about that as well. Um, right, because you have again, no one can tell me what is the game. You know, which game are you talking about? There's one quote from a mysterious Switch 2 developer or someone for that. But outside of like a handful of titles, you can't tell me what are the 26 titles that are all launched on Switch 2. Right? I think there's something to say about Cyberpunk, and it is physical. They do have a physical sale, but even if you were to compare the physical to the digital download, which they don't break out, it's not going to be the same thing. I think physical buyers are still a minority. That's not to say they're not an important minority. It is to say that they're just not as it's like kind of a subset. I continue to say if you're most people who are like fanatics about Switch or fanatics about the first party or already have the hardware, already have the game somewhere else. Perfect example. I just told you I am a super fan of Little Nightmares. Super fan of Little Nightmares. Did I go out and buy Little Nightmares 1 and 2 for the Switch? No. I own it, but I own it already somewhere else. The only reason I'm going to buy Little Nightmares 1 and 2 is if it's some type of like set that I don't have with 3. You have to give me something different. You can't say, you can, I guess. But it's the same thing with my game company. Like I said, when you look at it from that side, it makes total sense. I was going to sell a game for $25 that came out day and date on a subscription service that's several years old. What? How am I going to expect people to pay $25 for an older game that already came out? You can't. That's why games launch. When they launch several years on into a new system, a lot of times they launch at a discount. No Man's Sky. No Man's Sky right now is $60 on Switch 2. However, the week after it launched, they dropped the price down to like $22. Why? Because they have to. They can't expect this out. And what do you notice? No Man's Sky is one of the top 8, I think it's number 7, the number 7 most selling game on Switch. You have to give something else. I'm not going to say it's just purely because of the physical. What I am going to say is there's a lot of people who didn't do a lot of great marketing or advertising, more or less, for it. Because besides like that showcase we saw from Nintendo, you had to give us something. Like Nintendo had to do a double take for Mario Kart, right? Nintendo had to do something separate for that. Cyberpunk, I said, got some free advertising from Digital Foundry. Street Fighter had to add something else to it. Hitman had to add something else to it, right? Hitman launched alongside another mission set, right? And that is all gearing up for the next like 007 Hitman or the 007 game coming out from IO Interactive. You have to give something else, but if you just drop it there, and like, oh, they're going to buy it. Like I'm telling you, just like the Nintendo people told me, you're out of your mind. Like you're going to need someone. That's why I needed a publisher. Because they're like, unless you're gonna do it, you need to find someone else who can push it for you. And I think a lot of people, unfortunately, didn't do anything other than like they showed it there, but they didn't add anything to it. It's even like I said, Cyberpunk, add it. You got to do something different. If it's just a port of the same game and it's several years old and you're trying to sell it for full price, that's bad. That's a bad business practice. Period. You know what, Purple? I would love a Luigi Mansion animated film like the Mario Brothers movie. They kind of touched on it a little in the movie. Also, second Luigi Mansion game would be nice. Whoa, there's like 3 Luigi Mansion games, no? I thought there were 3 of them. But I totally agree with you, Trainer Johnson. I think they probably will. Nintendo knows how to deal. Nintendo, as far as comes to first party IP, no one does it better than Nintendo. And I totally think they'll do it. So I think then, of course, the new purchase of a game is low. There aren't many new releases. Exactly. There aren't really any releases. We're going to have to see. The best example, that's why I said Final Fantasy VII Remake. That's why I said that's not an Xbox PlayStation problem. Or a Nintendo problem. That's a Square problem. Like, we are not. I am trying to get us away from blaming a platform for games not doing well. That's console war stuff. That's people saying my platform's better than that, or that platform sucks, or this one. That's not. All they are just stores. I'm not going to blame a developer for it, right? Because developers at the end of the day usually are taking a price cut just to work for the art form that they want, because that's at the end of the day what gamers or game developers try to do. Whether I'm talking to an artist, a voice actor, actress, programmer, like whoever I'm talking to, they are usually taking a cut to go work on this passion project of a game. And I saw it firsthand. I have never seen a developer who, unless it's a mobile game, like those people, they're a little different. Or unless it's like a Roblox game, those people are a little different. But your typical developer who's making a game for a console, they're just trying to get something out there. That's why I'm putting a lot of pressure on like publishers, because those are business people. Publishers are the ones that I'm paying now 30 to 60% to get my game out there. That's how much they take. Unless it's a self-published game, unless it's a game that I've negotiated the rights on or something, like Tarsier Studios is going to probably do really well with Reanimal because they've already proven themselves. But for the most part, publishers do not get the right. The leaders of those companies aren't doing right by gamers. And so when you talk to me about like, well, it's not selling as much, that's Nintendo's fault. Like that's an unrealistic expectation. Nintendo literally sold the biggest console at launch. You tell me what someone's going to sell 100,000 copies of a third-party game that launched a few years ago with nothing different on it, and they're trying to sell it for full price? Really? No. See, I look at it totally different. That's a business thing. That's not a gaming thing. And when it comes to business, I go head to head with the best of them. I said I said people aren't going to buy third party on Switch because they can't find a better version on many other places. Plus, now you have the fiscal issue. No, look, you can do, for one, Cyberpunk does better. I don't think it's a physical thing. I actually don't believe that. What I do think is you have to add like you have to combine it with the other game, but it's old. We haven't seen we haven't seen a new release. It's kind of hard for me to say like, oh yeah, that's right. You haven't seen a new release. So unless they're going to do a new release, let me pick on Yakuza again. If Yakuza's going to do a new game, totally makes sense. Let me pick on Take-Two Interactive, right? Take-Two Interactive launches Mafia. Okay, give me all 3 Mafias because you're now going to launch Mafia 4. Like, that makes sense to me. But if you're just dropping it and like you didn't do anything except show a trailer, nah. I think they did low numbers because they aren't new third party. Exactly. People who wanted those games already bought them on. Exactly. Nightfall, you and I are right there. Welcome to the stream, Nightfall. Thank you. You and I are right there together, Nightfall. They aren't new. You have to do something different. It has nothing to do with Nintendo. People will buy it on Nintendo, but it goes again with the idea. You launch it on a subscription. That's kind of totally different item. It's already seen as a discount. So imagine you launching a game that's 3 years old. You're charging full price? No, sir. And I can say sir on this because there's none of the publishers are ran by women except Annapurna. And Stray, from what I saw, is in the top 10, and they dropped the price of their game. So with the exception of Annapurna, sir, y'all are doing a bad job. That's cheaper. Most old games have to launch at a discount price. For that, the LR is like Forza Horizon 5 that launched on PlayStation at full price, but I think Gears is launching at 50. And Forza isn't even like a high price game. I think that game's like 40, right? And you're talking about you have a dedicated racing community already. How many copies did it sell? That's a good question to ask, right? We don't know how many copies it sold because like if you're like, sometimes you'll say, hey, this game was like a top 10 seller in a week, but a top 10 seller can mean you sold like 5,000 copies. It doesn't necessarily. So I think you're right. Forza did well. But Forza is like what? Forza is the highest rated Xbox game. And I think that game was launching. That's his franchise that had, what is the off-road Forza coming out? Or that came out? It has enough hype around the franchise. Sorry, I was at the Cheesecake Factory. We were just talking about, we were talking about Red Velvet. We were talking about Red. And now we're going to go watch the Netflix Straw. Everyone is talking about what? Someone was talking to me about a show called Black Lightning. I watched the first episode of that, and it did not live up to the hype. So I'm hoping Straw does. Sorry, I think you are right. There are several Louis. Yeah. There's like 3. I was just at GameStop looking at buying Diablo 3 because I checked out Diablo 3 from my library to play on my Switch, and I'm playing it, but it's due on Monday. I don't know why it's a 1-week rental or 1 week checkout, but yeah, so I'm thinking about buying Diablo 3 because I'm actually going through. I'm trying to figure out the story, but as Crow and Rouster have told me, it might not be a story. I'm back. What bad takes did I miss? You missed them all, Jeff. Purple. Well, I will say it comes down to Nintendo being the issue because they allow the games on their. No, I don't. Like you're just being controversial. You have a bone to pick about Nintendo. And K9 thinks because the games aren't physical, but it's still on Nintendo for the tech. The games are running well on Nintendo. I think, Cowboy, I think you're, to be very honest, Cowboy, and I don't want to talk because you are a gamer. You're not a Nintendo person. You're kind of out of the loop on that. You don't have it. You haven't played the new one. The games run well. Some of them run well better than most on other platforms. Virtually every game head-to-head on the Steam Deck runs better on Nintendo. So I don't want to talk down, but I would say you're utilizing old information to defend your point, and that is kind of you're probably out of your depths. I'll say it like that. Bro, all jokes aside, you're one of. I know, Cowboy. I'm just trying to build up for another a showdown. I think all of you, but for I don't want that chat to think we have beef. Oh, I know. Yo, Cowboy, you just donate. Wait. Cowboy, you just donated $5. I cannot gonna do that. I don't think anybody thinks that, Cowboy. He's like, here's a donation. Oh, by the way, I hate you. No. But we are building up for it. All right. I like the gameplay system of Diablo 3 a lot, maybe better than 4. Before Breath of the Wild, it was probably my most played game on Switch One. Yeah, I'm playing it. The arts, I can understand why Simpleton did not like Um, Darksiders 3, especially if he's saying no. Darksider Genesis, especially if he's saying because he's like, oh, it's like the Diablo art style, because I think those two are very similar, except the color palette as far as art style. I can understand why he said it after playing Diablo 3. I think the game mechanic on Switch is playing well on Switch, by the way. It's an older game. I would say the issue I have, it's not even an issue. I'm still in the tutorial phase of the game. I just want more cutscenes. I just like I love. First is selling at 70 and the deluxe edition. What? 120? It's 5 years old. PlayStation users are still complaining about it, but it was number one on PlayStation for a month. I think it sold over 1 million. I would have to see it. I would have to see it, Torino Johnson. I'm not saying you're wrong. I just don't know if I don't know if 1 million, like 1 million's a lot. I would have to see what it was going up against. If it launched around the time of Madden, then yes. But if you look at those charts, like if it launched in April, which I'm not saying it did, if it launched in April, I would say no. Right? April's usually a dead month. If it launched in February, I would say depends on when in February. If it launches in August, that's another one, right? Like it depends on when they launch. If it launch, and then I can get a better idea. But I don't think it sold 1 million. I don't know if it sold 1 million. Like that's I maybe, but that's like me saying it's a lot. That's a lot because racing genre is not that big to begin. Hold on there. That means you're selling to basically like 4% of the PlayStation population, and that's a lot. And that's why I say it's kind of hard nowadays because to get a multi-million copy game, you have to have a strong IP. You have to have a strong IP. And I think what I'm basing my thing on is I would say something like, what's the PlayStation Racer? What's the game? They made a movie, Gran Turismo. I don't think Gran Turismo sells that, but I'll see. I'm going to do my research on this one, Torino. I'm going to do my research. I played Diablo back in the day on PC. I know Callie are having fun stirring the pot. He always does. I mean, tech as a Nintendo allows the developers to put their games as non-physical. That's TK, but Cowboy, you're talking to like TK9. He's like the most physical person in my community. You know what I mean? Like the most physical. So I think he's very biased on it. He's going to see everything like, oh yeah, that had physical, that did it. But there's a lot of people like I said, I just talked to you about Street Fighter 6. Street Fighter 6 is the number 5 best-selling game on Nintendo right now. Street Fighter 6 didn't launch in physical. Like, you know what I mean? We'll see. We'll see. We will see when we get a new game day and date. How does it sell? We will see. Sorry, I think you're right about there being several. I'm way back. Sam's thinking we were watching the movie or what? Yeah, go ahead. It sold 1.4 on PlayStation? What? That's ridiculous to me. I believe you. I'm going to do my research on this one. That's ridiculous to me on that. Just because I don't think racing's that big of maybe it is. I just don't think racing is that big of a genre, but it could be. I played a few hours Diablo 4. It hasn't grabbed me. It was my first one. That's all I can say about it. And I was interested in the scenery and like it had a story. I'll say it like that. The third one right now, I'm just at the part where the girl and her uncle, like, who he adopted her, and we rescued him. I'm there. That's where I'm at. And now I'm going around and talking to people. That's it. It's sold more than Gran Turismo. Forza? I don't. Gran Turismo, what, 7 sales numbers? No, it didn't. Gran Turismo 7? That's what I'm saying. Like, you got. Okay, this makes kind of sense. Trino Johnson, what are you talking? What are you talking about, Trino Johnson? What are you talking about? Is it just me? What are you talking about? Oh, this may not work. Wait, this dog may not hunt. I'm seeing Gran Turismo 7 sold an estimated 14.4 million copies. Where you get your numbers from? Where you get your numbers from? Forza is GOAT. Oh, noisy. What's going on? Path of Exile. PoE can mean several different things. It's a very hard game, especially boss fights. Not that's all I can say about the shade at purple. Not. I finished. I'm also interested in Diablo 2 Resurrected. I want to play Diablo 2 because they did that there. Let me put this in there in case someone wants to come online. I meant to do this earlier. We're at 10 o'clock and I haven't already done this, so y'all may not come in, but I want to do that already. I don't know. Can I do this from here? I can't do this from here. I can't do this from here. Okay, yeah, I can. Yeah, I played it. Yeah, I liked the Gran Turismo movie a few years back. I wonder how F1 goes with Brad Pitt when it releases. The movie I like, it just came out. It's the one about Ford and Ferrari. And the reason I like that is because it was one of the first movies I felt like that really did Dolby Atmos really well. So like the spatial surround, like I thought that movie did like a phenomenal job. Like sound engineering is peak especially like when he's in the car. Like it actually does just phenomenal. Like I could tell the difference between surround and Dolby Atmos with that movie. That's all I can tell you about racing movies, right? Like, I didn't see the because I'm not a racing. Like, I play Mario Kart, but I feel like Mario Kart's fun. I feel like the other ones are serious. But Rouster's son is super good. I would have to ask Rouster. I would have to ask Rouster's son about racing. That's what I'm gonna say. Like, I'm like the type of person. Like, I am not the person, but I don't think Forza sold more than Gran Turismo. That's all I'm saying. But no, but he's telling me he did at launch. What do you mean at launch? But you can't compare those two, Torino Johnson. You can't compare an established player base. It's the same thing I would say about what Cowboy with Nintendo. You can't compare PlayStation 5 with when did Gran Turismo 7 come out? $2022. So at this point, you couldn't get a PlayStation 5. So Gran Turismo 7 with the PlayStation user base at like 12 million versus a Forza with the PlayStation user base closer to 70 million. And you can't it's not apples. It's not a fair comparison. That's why I don't like to like get into like you have to show like day and date, right? That's why I'm not like the Final Fantasy numbers. That's not a PlayStation Xbox conversation to me. That's a Square Enix conversation. So when we like the next one that's head to head, like Black Myth Wukong, right? Black Myth Wukong's not going to sell as well on Xbox as it did on PlayStation. Why? There's not as many Xboxes out there. One, two, most of the fan base that bought Black Myth Wukong's in China. Xbox doesn't really have a community there. Three, it's over a year old. Like, so why am I gonna like? It's just like when PlayStation people come out and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we sold like 2 million copies of Black Myth Wukong." I can't do that. Whoa, 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 what happened? What happened? What happened? What happened? There we go. That's all. Um, any good to know? May change to Diablo 4. I'll definitely check it out. I'm going to see the F1 movie with my son in a week. Awesome, awesome, awesome. I'm hearing that F1 is really good, good, good. For sure, it has unless you just talking PS sales. Whoa, which one, Noisy? I'm sorry, I'm so late. Top Gun. I haven't seen Top Gun Maverick. Is it good? I like the Gran Turismo movie as a gamer based on a true story about getting sim drivers into real racing. The other movies are just cars. Interesting. So it is a real movie. I heard that. Um, but the other one, Ford versus Ferrari, is a real one. But I don't think it's so much about car racing. But like it's car racing, you know what I mean? Like how like unless you're telling like a story about like the driver or the core like but again, I'm not a car racing type, but y'all tell me. Like maybe there's something I'm missing, but actually that's like any sports movie, right? Unless you're telling the story about something, they're all kind of like let me just go watch the real thing. You know what I mean? So yeah. Hey, Geek! Happy birthday to Geek. Also, we had another birthday in Chariot Man. So he's no longer here, but Chariot Man's birthday was recently. And I think Primo Yannick. Shout out to Primo Yannick. Another birthday. Okay, the total copies of Forza Horizon sold over 5 years is 20 million. 2 million its total run so far. Okay, I believe that. I believe that. Like, yeah. If you're telling me total Forza Horizon 5 over 5 years, it's a larger player base. Like it comes down to that. It's 100% comes down to just player base. Forza Horizon 5 was on PC. Is Gran Turismo on PC? No. So Forza's on PC, PlayStation, Xbox. It's just a larger player base. Gran Turismo is not been there as long, right? It came out 2 years later. It's like that. Like it's hard for me to compare it because I just don't see it like that. I know people would like to say like our racer is better than your racer, but I think there are also different genres of racing. Like I think what Forza, Gran Turismo is more like a sim, so I think that's a smaller community to begin with. But yeah, but I'm happy for both of them. I would have to ask someone like Rouster's son. He's a racing guy, so like he would tell me like Forza versus F1 versus Gran Turismo versus what's the Ubisoft one versus like right like and I think Xbox like they 20 million, that's a lot for a game that was on subscription too. Gemini season, it's almost over. It's almost over. No worries, geek. But I might be wrong. I'm gonna do some research. You've got me thinking because I don't think about the only reason. Look, I don't know if y'all saw this, but obviously I'm out of the loop because I posted what I thought was like a cute little short about me using a power up to win the race in Mario Kart, and then all I said was skill or luck, kind of like tongue in cheek, and I get all these comments that are literally like, "You're not good. That's luck. All you did was do luck." I'm like, "Yo, it's Mario Kart. Y'all need to calm the F down." I think I'm gonna make a video about this. I'm like, y'all need to calm the F down. Like, y'all are taking this way too serious. Like, there are Mario Kart fans. I'm like, Mario Kart. The name is called Mario Kart. Yeah, I wish Sega GT was still around. It was groundbreaking. I haven't played. See, Torino Johnson, you're a racer. You need to join the Shades of Purple. Oh, Crew Motor Fist. Exactly, Zalik. So I want to shout this out because I think the audience is a little different from this earlier in the stream to this stream. The Shades of Purple community. So everybody in chat, we've been challenged by Xbox International Espanol in Mario Kart. Yes, an Xbox channel has challenged us to Mario Kart, and we are going to do Mario Kart 8 as well as Mario Kart World. So if you have one of those and you want to be in on this, we are going to go head to head with them. They have about 6 or 7 racers that they said that they will dominate this channel, that they will take us out, that they said as an Xbox channel. So Torino and Spartan, they're coming for it. They're not inclusive like y'all. No, I'm joking. But they exactly said they are coming at us. They're taking no prisoners. And they said, Purple, stick to horror. You don't know Mario Kart. That's an Xbox channel told us that. So this Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, if you have a Switch, you don't need a Switch 2. If you have a Switch and you want in on this, we're going to be playing against Xbox International Espanol. And then at 9, we're going to go head to head with them with Mario Kart World. So we're going to be doing both. I'm going to need some help I'm going to need some help. Because I'm not good. Unless I get the luck of the draw with the power-ups. So, because that's what they said. As you had fun and you won. Tarina, I agree. They're not telling them. If I had a Switch 2, I'd love to kick. Oh, it's going to be it's Espanol, Noisy. Crazy Louie might be there because he has a Switch. We're doing Switch 1 too. If you have a Switch, we're going to do Mario Kart Deluxe 8. Or maybe it's 8 Deluxe. I don't know. I gotta go look at the cover. We're gonna do that one at 8. And then at 9, we're doing World. So we are, and I think 8, we can get 8 versus 8. I think. Or something like that. And then we're going to do World. Maybe it's 6 versus 6. I don't know. It's something crazy like that. And then we're going to do World. But it's going to be Sour Blow and Invio. I haven't interviewed him before. But it's definitely Sour Blow, Mystic Fragments. He's the one that's stirring the pot. Mystic Fragments came in. He was hitting me up. He said he hit me up on Discord. He hit me up on Twitter. He was trying to find me on Blue Sky from what I hear. He wanted to challenge us. And I said, okay, game on. Coming after you, Mystic. Coming after you, Xbox International Espanol, XBI Espanol. So we'll see. My money is on them. $1,000. Wow. Jeff. Look, I just told my son, he said, I want to join. Yes, we would love to. 8 p.m. we're doing Deluxe, right? And then we're going to switch. Look, I bought it, y'all. I bought it. See, I bought it. Oh, you can't see it. There it is. I bought it. So I'm all locked in. I have both of them. I have the prize. Crazy Lou and crew giving you flag. I'm going to have to give them. Can't. Oh no, Tarina, you know they're good. Louis, no, they're all good except for Plume. Plume refuses to be on the show, but all others like Silent Cypher hates Nintendo. Louis is funny. Louis and Cowboy are both super entertaining. Sour Blow, obviously, he's challenging us. You know what we should do? We should challenge him next time in Forza. If we win, which we're gonna win, I'm just telling you, we are going to win this battle. I'm calling it now. despite Jeff cheering for the Orcs and Orcs Must Die, and now cheering for Xbox International Espanol, we are going to defend this turf. I saw that in a commercial, and I've always wanted to say that. We're going to defend this turf, okay? And when we do, we're going to challenge them in Forza. How about that, sour blow? I'm already calling it. We're going to win. We're going to win this. Can't stand Louis. What? Noisy. Why not? What's wrong? The only thing, Louis has that new camera and it does this. Like, it's like, oh, it like moves everywhere. Oh, blah, blah. And it's like, holy crap. Like, stay still. That's the only issue I have. Louis' camera's always moving. I'm like, okay. Purple turf. Yes, Rob. We're gonna win this. We're gonna win this. Like I said, we're gonna give them. I'm not lying, y'all. Like Mario Kart. I understand why people do not like Mario, but it's Mario Kart. But I understand like Deluxe feels different than World. But like, yo, I'm about to make a video. I'm gonna make a video about this because like people are taking this way too serious about Mario Kart. Like they're picking up things I didn't even notice. Like the fact that you would have like people like we're a competitive Mario Kart team. Like a competitive Mario Kart team that okay, I know it sounds weird because I just talked to Sub about challenging another channel challenged us. But no, like people who are like I left the competitive Mario Kart scene because of Mario Kart World. And it's like, what? Like, what? I don't get it. It's like you saying you're leaving the paper, rock, scissors community because they now are saying paper, rock, scissors go versus paper, rock, scissors, and then you go. Y'all who play paper, rock, scissors know exactly what I'm talking about. And so, like, to me, it's like, yo, it's the same. Like, what? And now some of y'all are going to fight me on this. Some of y'all are going to be like, no, purple, those are totally two different paper, rock, scissors games. I hear you. I hear you on that. But for the vast majority of people, we lay out the rules ahead of time and we just say, yo, are we saying it like paper, rock, scissors go or paper, rock, scissors? You know what I mean? That's how I feel like the conversation is. Purple, we're going to take this. We're going to protect this turf. We're going to protect this channel. We're going to protect the dignity of the channel. They're coming up in here. Like I said, Sunday, they're coming in here. So if you're like, Purple, I don't like to play this. Purple, I don't like Nintendo. Purple, blah, blah. Look, I'm just telling you, there's a spot for you on this team. There's a spot for you on this team. We're going to have Deluxe first go up. We're going to be switching people out with that one just because I feel like more people have. I know for a fact more people have that one. More people have that one. And then towards the end, we'll probably do some World. And then we're going to have some clips. And we're going to, again, say skill versus luck. And piss more Mario Kart fans off. Rock, paper, scissors, lizard, spot. Whoa, Zalik. Whoa, Zalik. Whoa, Zalik. Like, let's calm down. Let's calm down. That is like next level. Okay, what you just went to was like, that's next level. It's just paper, rock, I know what you're talking about, though. I do know what you're saying. No, but I do paper, rock, scissors, go. That's how I do. Paper, rock, scissors, go. Like, right? I don't like the people who try to shoot first. Like, I cannot stand those who are like paper, rock, scissors, and then they do it on scissors. I don't like that. Like, that takes me out of like the element. I'm like, whoa. Like, what are you doing? Like, but paper, rock, scissors, lizard, Spock is a little bit I like to get into the action, just not that fast. Like, not fast as like the other one, but I like to like get in. Like, I feel like I can get in. Sorrow Roy will have his kids play. That's what I'm saying. Noisy, you're exactly right. But we're gonna have ringers too, because we're gonna have most likely Rouster. We're gonna have his son, who turned 19 today, so he's not like a kid, but he's still in his prime. If y'all ever seen Rouser's son play F7, you know this kid is in his prime. You know this adult is in his prime. We're going to probably have Ambi as well as Ambi's niece. Okay? So Ambi's niece is like 9. And you know when they're hitting 9, sky's the limit. So we're going to probably have his niece. We're going to have Wit and her brother, right? We're going to have a couple of people. We're going to have some people. So if we don't have the right mix, like, we're going to be able to trade people in and out. Like, we're going to have enough, I feel like. But we got to protect it. We cannot let them win this, right? And then, like I said, then we're going to get into roll. We cannot let them win this because what we want to do, they're challenging us. And we want to take it back to them and challenge. We cannot do that. We have to push them back. We have to win and we have to push them back. And we have to take it back to them. I've never heard anyone say paper, rock, scissors versus rock, paper, scissors. Is it regional? Wit, this is Wit. You need a Wit. This is like an entire. You haven't seen the Netflix documentary on this? It's your what time I'll have to hook up my Switch? 8 noisy 8. We're gonna do it at 8. So I think we're gonna probably just have it until like we have like, because I think I can do 12 or 16. I haven't played it enough. But we're gonna have everybody in there, do a couple like practice rounds, then we're gonna break off into teams. Team Xbox International Espanol, and I always have to say International Espanol versus Team Purple, and then we're gonna break off and we're gonna take them. We're gonna take them. I'm not even saying, like, all I'm focused on is the W. That's it. Like, that's it. And as long as, like, you know, it's not about if we're gonna win, it's how much we're gonna win by. You know, and as a champion, I just know I have to, like, I'm gonna come out and win. You know what I mean? That's how you got to look. Like, winning isn't a Sunday thing, it's an everyday thing. Right? And that's what we're going to do. Winning is a habit, and that's the habit I have. There you go. I don't know. I'm trying to get some more Vince Lombardi slogans in there. I screwed that last one up, but y'all know what I'm saying. I don't even know there was a Netflix, so maybe it's no, wait, it's not. It's not. What time zone you in? Eastern. Noisy. You show up anyway, Noisy. You usually show up on those. Or I think Web Dave does it also during that time, so it's no big deal. Like, don't worry, we're gonna win. We're gonna protect this house. We're gonna protect it. It's 8 p.m. I'm looking forward to it. But yeah, it's 10:21. I'm about to close this one down. Yeah, I'll put more into the YouTube thing, the YouTube community page. I'll probably put it on the Discord as well. Torino Johnson, I just want to say thank you again so much for the games, Brotato, as well as 9 Monkeys of Shaolin. Both of those awesome. You know, Brotato, you called me on that one. I played it a brief amount of time because of talking about Xbox International because of Silent Cypher. But thank you again for that. So I just want to say that. Also, I want to wish happy birthday again to Chariot Man, as well as Geek the Sneak. So happy birthday, as well as, we haven't seen him in a while, but he did come by a few weeks ago, Primo Yannick. So also say happy birthday to them. And yeah, just y'all, thanks for coming by. Thanks for the back and forth. Thanks for Cowboy for the $5 dono. And thanks, who was it? A couple of y'all really pushed me on some of my thought processes, so thank you again on that. And again, Saturday we're playing Orcs Must Die, so we're gonna get back into that. And then Sunday we're gonna be doing Mario Kart. So that's that. So with that said, I'm gonna shut it down. Thanks for coming by. And Zalik, let me know if you're streaming so we can push people to you. We'll keep it open for a little bit, but let me know, Zalik, if you're gonna stream, because y'all didn't know that Zalek's in Australia, so she talks Australian, and so it's like Friday morning over there. So yeah, Zalek, let us know. I can't tell Rouster. Can y'all tell me if she's streaming, and we'll post her link. She's a Twitch streamer. So yeah, let me know. Let me know. But with that, we're almost done. I see Miss K streaming. I'm seeing Linza Truth is streaming. So Linza's streaming. That's his channel. We got to build up to his channel. So purple Saturday, Friday night. I'm streaming. Okay, so that's gonna be tomorrow morning. Tomorrow morning. Okay. So you told me she's streaming tomorrow night. Okay, so tomorrow morning. So I'll catch her in the morning. All right. Also, and I would be remiss if I did not mention this. Today is Juneteenth. So I know I just said a lot of birthdays, but today is Juneteenth. And Juneteenth, just because I'm a Houston Texan girl. Juneteenth is the day that even though the Civil War in the United States ended in 1865, they did not tell the slaves in Texas that the war had ended and that they actually have freedom until 1867. And June 19th, 1867 to be exact. So over 2 years later, they didn't tell them that. And yeah, I don't think it's necessarily, I guess happy Juneteenth is a great way to some people would say that, but I would just say like to recognize Juneteenth and to kind of like to reflect on that. This country has been through a lot. Some of it is not a pretty history. A lot of it is very dark. And even though that did happen 160 years ago, 158 years ago, I always think about those people, those people who were actually free. They knew they were free, but their reality was that they were still in chains. So I kind of like people are like, oh, it was only 2 years, or it was way back then, but still, like, yeah, it's kind of crazy, But yeah, very dark now. Hey, Rouster, yeah, no problems there. Like, yeah, it's very dark, but the human species moves forward. And so, yeah, but I do want to, I would be remiss. I should have probably opened up with that. But I think, yeah, Juneteenth is today. So, yeah, there's that. All right. With that said, I will hop off and thank you all for coming by. All right. I don't care where you game, how you game, why you game, what you game on, how long you've been gaming. As long as you're gaming, you're good with me. And as always, the proof is in the plane. Thank you all so much for coming by. Peace. Design. Oh, here we go.